Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Aussie Rules live stream here for Game Day Squad, previewing the round that is about to be. That's going to be round 22. And I'm joined by a good friend, Bales from Fantasy Fanatics, mate. You're here today to talk through the round, talk about some of the decisions, mate. We spoke a little bit last night, but we're going to continue our conversation. Are you ready to chop it up and talk about what's about to be?
Yeah, g'day, mate. Haven't seen you for a while. It's only been 24 hours, and in the meantime, we let the listeners know I finally packed my first ever legend. We opened a few of the football packs after we recorded our show last night, and I said to you, I think I bought 5 more, and I said this will be it. I'm done after this, and then I said the last pack, we're not going to get anything, are we? And then we saw the explosion animation, and then we go over, and I couldn't believe when I saw the red outline on the card. So Trevor Chalobah from Chelsea was not too bad. Could have been Erling Haaland or Mohamed Salah, but not to be. But still good to get a legend anyway. But we're not here to talk about football. We're here to talk about Aussie rules football. So let's get into it.
Well, look, it's exciting, man. It's just about to come. We're only a week and a little bit away, but we do have some really crucial rounds left here for Aussie rules. Before we get into it, Auntie Booger last week, Bales, came into the show and said, should I be starting Redmond? Got him as the pot of the round. I let her know about the weather, and she faded Redmond. And I did say, do it at your own risk, but it ended up being a great call. Who did you get in, Auntie Booger? That's the question. How much did you benefit off that one change is what I want to know. But you're more than welcome. But don't expect that to be every time, because fantasy can be a funny game like that. Sometimes you nail it and other times not so much. But we're here to talk about some of the players that could play well, some of the players you should be considering, and just talk about some of the matchups in general. So with that being said, Bales, we're going to talk through the team announcements that just got dropped. Then we're going to get into some rankings, show our squads, and then wrap it all up. What I want to know this round from everyone that is watching along here, whether you're live or you're tuning in at some point, is who is your pod of the round? If you could pick one player that you go, this is a massive pod, maybe you're not starting them, but you're really high on them, I want to know who it is in the chat. So please drop that below. But in the first game, nothing too significant here in terms of fantasy. Tonight, we've got the Hawks taking on the Pies. Assume there's going to be a couple of people with eyes on this one, with the likes of Nicky Dacos going out. The second game with the Cats and Essendon, Danger's being managed, but honestly, nothing too significant there. We've got the first game on Saturday. We've got the Tigers versus St Kilda. Tell you what, normally it's probably not a game you're going to be watching, but because of fantasy, this is an awesome game. I feel like there could be plenty of eyes on. Some big names here. Tim Taranto comes back in for Richmond, so he could be a bit of a pod in the midfield with a good matchup against the Saints, but Matthias Philippou comes in for St Kilda. Now, I'm not the player or the coach to rush into putting someone into the squad, but I'll tell you what, this preseason, I was pretty big on the season that Matthias Philippou could have. I just want to see him get back to being healthy and inputting for the Saints. So big in. I'm loving seeing him back on that list. Sure, you're the same, Bales. Were you on Matthias?
What do you mean on like
preseason? Were you?
Oh yeah. So yes, preseason. Yeah. So I was on him. He was in my. I got a platinum. I got a gold. I went out and made sure I had a couple of those in my club, but unfortunately, haven't used it. It's been been sitting in my club. But hey, he should keep forward status next year. So as long as he plays forward a lot the last couple of games, he'll be quite useful, I think, for next year in our forward lines, when we're probably going to have Baz won't have forward status, Kennedy probably won't have forward status, McRae won't have forward status. All those guys, Jackson probably will just have ruck status as well. So it'll be interesting next year, but we might even get maybe a cheeky Harry Sheezel up forward. So that might sort of make the pain a little bit less.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Auntie Booger got back to us. Do you know who she subbed in for Redmond? Noble. Great decision that was.
We talked about Noble on the Wednesday show, thinking he could be a good shout against Richmond, and came through and delivered a 120, I believe it was. So,
yeah, 125 if I'm not mistaken. Absolutely did. He's been pretty consistent all year. I know we spoke about him last night as well. Let's get on to the next game: the Lions versus my Swannies. The big news here, Lockie Neal out, and it could be out for some time as well. So that's massive for that dynamic in the midfield. I do have a little bit of an opinion on who I think benefits the most from this that I'll get into a little later, but I'm going to be starting the player in my midfield as well. So a little spicy take. And the best news of the round, Peter Ludham's out. There's no better news you could give me for a round than as the third man up, or sword play boys call him, the Peanut. The Peanut's out. Good to see him out. That's a bit harsh, wasn't it?
He's one of your Sydney boys. You just like, no, good to see the Peanut out. So a bit harsh, but
doesn't matter.
But we're happy with Grundy solo, so that's what we wanted. And up against Darcy Fort with no McInerney as well, that could mean some better things. So I'm sure we'll chat about the ruck pig when we get to the rucks.
Yeah, that's huge, isn't it? Honestly, very, very excited for the week that Grundy could have, and even in a hard matchup, he's good. But now he's got a little bit easier, not going up against the Big O. We've got Carlton and the Suns. In terms of news here, nothing too significant other than Sam Flanders being out. So he's been rolling through the midfield. Not that I don't think many coaches would consider starting, but maybe impacts that midfield dynamic and there's more opportunity for some others to score because of it.
Well, he'll be a forward next year in game day squad as well. So maybe if he changes clubs or anything like that, gets a better role somewhere, could be someone to maybe stash in your club if you don't have one, and they'll be pretty cheap. People probably not given too much on the market. So if you want to get a couple, that might help for next year.
Absolutely, mate. The big news from the next game, we have the Port Power versus the Dockers. Is Connor Rozee is in. Let's just sit here for a second.
I'll be happy.
What's your thoughts? Connor Rozee coming in. He was a test, so he's passed. He's cleared to play, but we know that he's injured. His hand is not doing so good. How much does it impact his game? Is it still worth considering putting him in the midfield? How much does the injury itself, Bales, impact sort of your opinion in starting him?
I don't think too much, to be honest. Like if you go back to the showdown, he still had 22 touches and he had 7 tackles, which is quite good. An extra week off, resting the hand there as well. Sort of 116 in game day squad. So it's like, I think he'll still go well anyway because he's not playing. Like I think he'll be okay. But in saying that, I think there are other midfielders I'd rather this week. In my squad, but it's probably a good one to. I don't think you're playing this week. It's a good one to watch, and then you can maybe look at him in the last couple of games. Unless you've got maybe an all-star or a prize card or something, then I guess you could probably still plug it and play, right? Because you obviously cost their salary and you get that extra little bump. So I think if you've got like an all-star or a prize card, I think play him. I think it's fine, but I think if you've got like a normal bronze or silver or anything like that, I'll probably just be leaving it for this week and watch him and hopefully it goes well and play him next week.
Yeah, I think the same as well. Give it always sort of a week to adjust, come back in. And Hayden Young being out on the Fremantle side as well is the other big news. Bales, I asked for some pods for the round. Callum's gone to one of my boys and one of his favourites, James Rowbottom. It doesn't matter what question I would have asked. It might have almost been the answer. Every time we have a Josh Worrell pod for your boys, Bales. Interesting there.
Don't mind the Warrior one. The only thing is that West Coast don't actually give up that many points to defenders because the ball's not down there as much.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm not trying to be like sort of rude or anything. I'm just saying that's just generally with the defenders, like they just don't really chip around the back teams against West Coast. So yeah, probably not this week for Warrior, but he's had an All-Australian year. So the All-Australian selectors listening to this, he'd better be in that All-Australian squad because I'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly right. Auntie Booger's gone pod fade Nakos. So not exactly the pod in terms of starting, but the point of difference fade. I like it. I personally am not.
I can't.
He had a pretty good game. I think it was earlier this year against Hawthorn, if I'm not mistaken. Bales got 145 points somewhere around round 5. So we have seen him already play in this matchup this year.
There's no Finn McGuinness as well.
There's no McGuinness. I just think he's too good. He's too good to play, and I wouldn't personally be doing it. But that's what a pod is. It's a point of difference, and
people are going to be putting salary cap on Nick Dacos tonight. So yeah, it'd be a very, very pod move to fade him. But I don't know, Tom, about you, but I feel like you can fade some players, but I feel like Dacos is one in a game where you're not expecting attention. It's not probably the one to go for because so many people are going to have him, and if he goes massive, your week's pretty much done because you've cost yourself some points. So I think he's not quite the player to fade, but I don't mind the thinking.
Yeah, for sure. And Cal talking about the Rozee news, very, very impactful. He's saying the injury and his thoughts on starting him. So absolutely, I think a lot of people will be feeling the same way. Let's fly through these last 3 games. The Giants versus North. Toby Green comes in, Hogan being managed. That was someone I was going to be targeting. If he was playing against North, the potential to kick it back, probably someone I might have started. But the big news on the flip side, the Big X is back, baby. So big ruck option against Briggs.
There's a pod.
He's in. Bit of a pod for sure. But look, with the season and how good he can be, not sure how much of a pod it is. But Curtis out, Larky out. So some forwards there for the Roos. The Demons versus the Dogs. We have only ins, no outs, but nothing too significant or that you have to be worrying about for fantasy. And the last game, Bales, I think you'll enjoy this one, is West Coast Eagles versus your Adelaide Crows. And in terms of ins and outs, nothing too serious other than Rory Laird coming out. So he's a big ball winner in that defense. So maybe that Worrell pod has a little bit more juice to it. Is a little better for this round in particular, but it's going to be a great round of footy. And Big Tex as well, being rested there. So does it open the door for the key forwards that you have, Bales, to score even more than maybe they would have in an already great matchup for them?
Yeah, potentially. I think that I've always thought that the Crows actually played better with Tex. That's the thing I've noticed is that Riley Thilthorpe always gets the hardest defender anyway, but I just felt their structure's a lot better in front of the ball when they got the 3 tools. So it's going to be interesting, but I knew he was going to get. I could have probably told you on Monday. I would imagine he's going to get rested because I think his 300 was going to be in round 24, whereas now with the rest, his 300 will be in the finals. So in the first week of finals. So yeah, but I'll be interesting to see how big Riley Thilthorpe and Fogg go. With
Jimby's been good defensively, right, over the past couple of weeks, and he's actually been doing pretty well on some key forwards. We saw against Cameron, but I just think Thilthorpe is a little too big. He's sort of in that Darcy mold where you can be really good, but it's not going to help you when he's outstretched, he's taken the mark, and you can't get anywhere.
And he's a big unit, so how are you going to get
absolutely?
It's going to be tricky.
Let's get into it, Bales. I'm going to take you through my rankings. I would love for you to hop in, give your opinion, where you think where we have some point of differences, etc. But I'm going with Naz pretty vanilla, Holmes pretty vanilla as well, and going salary cap on them. The form, the matchup, just everything I've seen from them recently absolutely warrants having a gold for each. And then I'm just playing some bronzes. Feel like this line group recently has been really, really strong. Have a look at some of the recent scores. You can see there, 157, 198, 140, 130, 160, 130. It's a really important line group to nail. And I feel like Whitfield, and I am going to go Ash. I know last week or yesterday I was saying no Ash. I'm going to do the double in this one. I'm going Sheasel because of the midfield upside. Bailey Dale and Salem target. Sorry, not Bailey Dale. Sinclair and Salem targeting. I think you said it last night, Bales. Sinclair didn't play well, but if you take out this one outlier, and 98 isn't the worst performance ever, but if you take out that outlier, he's been on fire. And he's got a really good matchup this week. I don't think anyone should be sort of fading him based upon what we saw from last week, especially with getting attention.
Yeah, exactly. The one I actually like there though is John Noble, who's just outside your top 7 in number 8 against Carlton under the roof. No Dan Rioli still, so there'll be a few kick-ins there for him. A lot of the ball, and he's had a great year. Is John Noble, so. Yeah, I think he's a good shout. Yeah, Bailey Dale with probably not much attention there. We'll probably have a good game and see cheeky Mason Redmond making an appearance there in the top 10 as well. Obviously, Auntie Booger was saying that they changed Redmond out last week, but maybe this is the week for Auntie Booger to put Redmond back into the squad.
I actually have him as my pot of the round. So I know I asked the question before, and the reason I asked it is because I had one in Mason Redmond. I really like the idea that, he's going to be taking a bulk of the kick-ins. There's going to be a lot of ball back there with Geelong. Like, we know how potent that offense is. Like, and if they kick a couple behinds, and there's just a scenario where I see him just scoring really big because of the opportunity and just having a lot of ball in his hands because of the game and how it's sort of flowing. So if you want to take a big swing, Auntie Booger, I say it's this round to do it with Redmond at number 10 there. But in all honesty, I do think it's a pretty big swing, and I would definitely be a lot more confident in starting someone like Noble under the roof if you are going to bring them into that matchup. But I got Salem sitting there in my number 7th spot. I reckon he's in for a pretty big week against the Doggies. The Doggies moved the ball quick, and Salem last week had, I think it was 90 points at about halftime. He was on fire. He didn't play as well in the second half, but that's okay. He's their main ball user. I think it's just going to be a lot of opportunity, like I sort of touched on with Redmond, but even more so with Salem for the Demons. So that's how my defense is looking, Bales. We'll get into your squad a little later, but do you reckon there's anyone I've missed or someone I'm maybe valuing a little too high in comparison to you?
Well, ST was saying Jordan Clark potentially a chance there this week, but I sort of just think that does like a Jed McEntee go to him as a bit of a defensive role at Adelaide Oval against Port? I think they're probably just better defenders with better matchups this week, but I think Jordan Clark's definitely someone to consider, and maybe Colin McKercher as well is someone to also have a look at. I do wonder if a Toby Bedford does a bit of a defensive forward job on Colby McKercher because he played quite well last week. He's been pretty good. Giants away at Monaco was probably not a great matchup. So I think that I'll be probably keeping 7 defenders from probably the 9 or 10 that you've listed up there.
Love it, mate. Good, we agree. We agree on the defenders. Absolutely. Auntie Booger as well after saying that, nah, we're kicking straight. Fingers crossed, no Redmond then, if that's the case. Don't get him in. She's a big Catters fan, Bales, for some context. So her favourite segments when we talk about the forwards.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Looking forward to when we get into the forwards and seeing how many forwards Auntie Booger's got in her squad.
We'll save that question for a little later, Bales. Let's get into some midfield. And we had a little comment by Gainers this week. Could have been a jab at you, Bales, I think. Tough matchup for Dawson this week.
No. He's good.
I don't think it's a tough matchup. We had the conversation, and I'll let you continue on it, but it might just be the fact that he might not play midfield the entire game.
Yeah, well, if I turn our attention back to round 11 at Adelaide Oval, when Crows played West Coast, Jordan Dawson had 27 disposals, 6 marks, 9 tackles, kicked 2 goals for 164 points. So that to me doesn't sound like a tough matchup, but I don't think the tough part of the matchup is actually the opponent. I think it's actually, as you say, I think there'll be times he rests forward, obviously, because we know when one of those tall forwards are out, Dawson does play a bit more forward. Because they do their rotations with the 3 talls and Dawson. And plus the other thing is that if they're up by a fair bit in the last quarter, I wouldn't be shocked with 10 minutes to go if Dawson just gets told to stay on the bench, last 5-10 minutes, no need to do a full game rest, but they're also like, well, we're probably not wanting to go massive. So part of me is like, I've got some salary on Dawson, but part of me is thinking, do I keep the salary on him or do I just put a bronze in? Happy with that. And then put the salary on guys that will probably play the whole game, but have got a massive ceiling and some good matchups.
Yep, absolutely, man. Fair enough as well. And I'm a little nervous, but not nervous enough to not play some salary cap on him.
Exactly.
And to not start him, right? So
you still start him. You still can put some salary cap on him, just maybe not the platinums and that in the classic. Maybe you go for a silver or gold instead, just a little bit there to dabble, but not too much.
For sure. And I'm going Nick Dacos gold tonight as well. I was waiting for lineups, just making sure, no McGuinness. I just think, look, he played them this year already. He played fantastic. I can't see too much changing from that game, in all honesty. I think he's in for a big one, and I want to put some salary cap on him as well and not miss out. Brayshaw, Rao, I guess a big name here, Dunkley. He started the year on fire. He was like the 3rd highest average for midfielders in game day squad in particular. But sort of regressed. I think the rise of McCluggage, I think, just that midfield being pretty stacked, a lot of weapons, a lot of players to get the ball to. It just led to this scenario where he wasn't needed as much, but Zorko's got a Liz Frank injury. And not that a defender impacts a midfielder, but, Zorko's a primary ball user that gets it in his hands and uses it a lot. We've now got Lockie Neal, who's going to be out for an extended period of time as well. Who steps up? Who benefits the most? And I was tossing up between McCluggage and Dunkley. But in my opinion, I think we could give some attention to McCluggage because of the type of player he is and the style that he plays. I actually see someone like a Jordan, someone going to a McCluggage to impact him, where Dunkley's a bit more of a contested player. He can play in the middle there, play one-on-one, and maybe a little harder to tag. So for me, Dunkley's, I guess, a bit of a pot option, and also it might be an emotional hedge because he is versing my Swans, Bales. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't mind that. It's I I think there are a lot of good options this week, but I think Dunkley for me is the one in there, and I'd be playing him against the Swans. If it's going to be a little bit wet, like you said yesterday, and looking at the weather, it looks like it might be a little bit wet. Probably not a huge amount, but a little bit. Dunkley loves a cuddle. I just guess McCluggage. I don't know if I'd be looking at him this week just because of the fact I think James Jordan goes to him as a bit of attention.
Yep.
So that would be my sort of concern there.
For sure. Big Bad Bont, finishing it up there, wrapping it up. Look, had a poorer performance last round, but if you look at the rounds before that, on fire, he's unbelievable. I've just got Goulden outside of my top 6 again. It could be because I'm trying to play a little different. I don't feel great about it, but it is against the Lions. I am a little concerned. Maybe there's a berry. Does someone do a job on him? Maybe run with him? Maybe. There's a bit of concern about that. I'm just looking for a little bit more higher upside at least. And then I've got Tom Green, who's been in bad form but has a really good matchup. McCluggage there, who is really fantastic. But again, I just have those concerns about getting a tag, hence why he's missed. And then Connor Rozee because of the injury as well. If you look at the average in particular, it's pretty hard to not get Connor Rozee on any round. But I'm really concerned about how much that impacts him, and hence why I won't be starting him this round.
Yeah. I think we've touched on you before. Yeah, I think that probably this week just to let him pass, and then next week we might be able to bring him back into our squads.
Yeah, but third highest average out of all mids for the season at 125. Not feeling fantastic about it, but you have to make those decisions. Let's get to the rucks, and this is where my salary cap goes up big time, Bales, for my classic comp. I've got a platinum Brodie Grundy. I've got a gold Rowan Marshall that I'm rolling out. I'm expecting some really big performances from them in some what I think are going to be plus matchups. We touched on Grundy. No McInerney. The big O is out, and Grundy's the most informed player in all of fantasy, let alone the position. The Rat Pig is going to eat. So get the salary cap as much as you can on him because I think he's in for a monster game.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, right. The fact that Laddams is not there, as you mentioned, Darcy Fort's going to be solo against Grundy. Grundy's been dominating. Like 39 touches for a ruck is obscene. And the fact that he's done really well. I know Ganners has put in the comment just there saying no Cherry in the top 5. That's an interesting one because I would have probably chucked Cherry in the top 5, probably at number 4 in my rankings this week behind Gawn. I think that the Giants matchup's a good one, and I think he will be a pod because I think a few people might have forgot that he has not been there 3 weeks. People looking at Grundy, Marshall, Gawn. If you want to go for a pod, I think the Big X is going to be angry that he's missed 3 weeks. He's going to want to have a big game against the Giants. And last time he played him, I think he went over 130 in round 1 last year. So it could be a sneaky pod down the rucks, but I don't think I can go past the Ruck Pig or Ryan Marshall, who's up against Richmond. And Max Heath played a lot more forward last week. Mitch Owens is out this week, so I think Heath will be more of that forward. And I think that Ryan Marshall's going to continue to eat.
Just going back to the mids, Finn Callahan's a good play this week. Look, definitely a good matchup against North, but we just haven't seen that ceiling scores with him, Bales. Like a lot of the midfielders we spoke about, you see, 140s, 150s, and there's really good match. You spoke on Dawson, just that game, Adelaide Oval versus West Coast and how well he played. If he had a bit more of a ceiling, I think Finn Callahan might be in consideration, but just without that, he's a great player. He's got a fantastic matchup, but I just wouldn't be starting him over some of those other options because of that in particular. So I guess that's my opinion. Are you in agreement there, Bales?
Don't. Sorry, who was the player you're talking about? Sorry,
Finn Callahan, just not having the same ceiling as some of the other mids.
Yeah, I think I agree. He's that guy that could have 30 touches but have like 3 marks, 1 tackle, and they're the players I don't want to target. I want to target the Dawsons, the Bonts, the Dunkleys, the Dacos, the guys that can rack up the touches, but also get those marks and get those tackles as well. I know Dacos isn't like a 10 tackle guy like the other ones, but he gets those marks as well. So I think they're the guys I want to target. I saw actually I forgot to touch on it when you looked at your mids, is that Tom Green was at number 8, and he has been the nemesis of me the last few weeks. I haven't played him much. I played him for a week or 2 in game day squad, but I've gone completely away from him. Knowing that, he's probably going to go 140, 150 this week, but you're pretty keen, at least in terms of he's in your top 10. Yeah,
funny. And it does work like that, doesn't it? It's exactly how it works. When you decide to get off the train, they go nuts. But Gawney, English in that big matchup against each other, they've had pretty fantastic years. Look, not both of them are going to explode, but I do see a big performance from one of them. I have the edge to Max Gorn in that one. And Nank is a bit of a pod as well, but in a round where really good ruck options are plentiful, I wouldn't be going a pod in particular for this position. I would be sticking with one of the big guns.
Agreed.
Let's get to forwards. How many cats are too many catters bales? For me, my magic number is 3. And I'm trusting in, I guess, the big 3 of Smith, Myers, and Cameron. Cameron, because I think there could be plenty of goals. Myers, because CBA's playing a bit of midfield time. Inkata Messi, just doing what he does best, He's just in and amongst it. And then Bailey Smith is just a different breed. He will be a mid next year, so enjoy it whilst we can for these last couple of rounds. But Mana is definitely deserving of being in consideration. I just don't want to go with the 4, even in a good matchup. That's why I have him at rank 9. But my number's 3, Bales. Number's 3. What's your number?
My number's 4.
Okay.
I reckon against the Bombers, down at the Cattery, I think Baz is a lock. Jez is going to kick. I think that they're all different players. So I don't think that they're like, if you pick one, you can't pick the others. I think that Baz is that midfielder. Myers is the half forward that also plays a bit of mid-time as well. Manna's the guy that can tackle around the ground, get up the ground, have multiple shots at goal, and Jez is going to get fed the ball, right? So I just think this is going to be a game that Cats are going to feast down at the Cattery. And I just think all 4 can go well. I don't think you have to play all 4. Not a lot of people. I've only got one Sean Manna card in my club at all. So I'm only playing him in my classic squad. I don't have him in contender, so I'm playing like a Sam Darcy instead of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Auntie Booger says 4 as well. Magic number is 4 and says only.
Only got 4. No Neil.
No Neil.
I'll tell you what, Shannon Neal would have to be would be a pod this week, but could be someone that goes quite well, to be honest. I think that Geelong are going to go quite well.
There we have it. Kennedy, pretty solid. Playing midfield. Look, it's pretty tough to not start someone who's playing in the midfield. Can also kick some goals as well, so we'll push forward. We'll get a bit dangerous. Luke Jackson has just been on fire. It doesn't matter where he's playing, what role he's playing. He's just him. He's been playing really good. He's come on off 121 fantasy points last round. He's been in awesome form before that as well. One of the best forwards over the year. And I guess, as you alluded to, maybe coming to the end of his forward reign. I don't know how much longer we'll have him.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be a forward next year, unfortunately, for us. But as I said, hopefully we get a Flanders, hopefully we get a Sheasel, maybe a Nick Martin if he played enough forward before he got injured, maybe get a couple of forwards. But yeah, I think there'll be a number of forwards, and unfortunately, won't be there for us next year.
Yes, it is very sad. It is very sad indeed. Interesting to see, though, Jackson was named as the ruck in the middle. I don't know how much you want to buy into that for Freo, but even better if that is the case, that he will be playing the primary and rolling forward for him. Sam Darcy, and I've got Phil Thorpe there as well. So just 2 players who have the potential to kick a bag. I really like both of them. I think they got really good upside, and we only have 3 rounds left. I am hunting a prize card. I'm currently sitting 21st in the seasonal rankings. I'm only a couple of 100 points, I think, from being in the mix. So I'm hoping getting the big key forwards in matchups where I can see a lot of goals will help me on that journey to going up. But some really good options on the bench there. I've got Rankin, Manna, and Pickett. Rankin with a fantastic matchup against West Coast, right? I guess the only reason I didn't go him over the thrill seeker is because he's not getting as many CBAs. He's just not playing in the mid as much, and it has limited his scoring potential because of it.
Yeah, agreed. The one that I'm actually interested to get your thoughts on is you've got him down at number 10 there. It's your boy, Cozzy Pickett. You've been on him all year, and he seems a bit lower than normal. And he's got the Dogs, which is, okay, it's not an amazing matchup, but he's playing midfield, getting odd touches. No one will tag him from the Dogs. So why is he seems a little bit low this week? Yeah,
is, I guess, one of the plays where I'm not loving the matchup and also trying to be that little bit different and getting the key forwards in. Something has to give. And it's a set and forget that I've had for about 7 to 8 rounds in Cozzy Pickett that comes out because of it. If you had a little bit of a better matchup, it's probably not him coming out. It might be someone else like a Kennedy, but it's a pretty tough decision to make with how good he has been. So I'm trusting sort of people who play more in the midfield. all the key forwards than someone like Pickett, who's pretty dynamic and will play both. So, Auntie Booger, to answer your question, 21st in classic seasonal rank. That is what I'm 21st in Bales. Whilst we wrap this up, do you just want to pull up your screen share and show us the squad that you will be rolling out for round 22? But yeah, yep. Auntie Booger, I am so close to being in the hunt. You can't see me because 21st is the first coach name that isn't seen in the leaderboard, but I'm hoping a big round here I'll get on there, and I'm only, I guess 150 points behind where I need to be sort of to get back in contention.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Hopefully you can get back in contention. My squad should be up on the screen right about now. So
bang.
There we go. There it is. So that is that's currently what we're sitting at there. So changed a little bit of salary for anyone that watched our show last night there. So still got the salary on Nasiah. I put a tiny bit extra on a Max Holmes, just targeting that Essendon matchup where I think he can go quite big. Got the all-star Nick Dacos, so I've got to play him there. I took the salary actually off of Dawson because it was either platinum or a bronze, and I just think I probably would be better off putting the platinum on a Brodie Grundy instead and use it there. Then I've got, Grundy with a platinum. Got the silver Marshall because my gold is in contender for both Grundy and Marshall, and then Baz has got the salary as well. But if you want it, like if people want to be a bit different with a pod, right, put salary cap on a Jeremy Cameron. Like put a platinum on Jeremy Cameron or for gold or whatever you've got, because that's maybe where you'll get. So a lot of people are going to use the salary on Baz, Holmes, Nasiah, Dacos, Dawson, Grundy, Marshall, these type of guys. Whereas they're going to go, oh, I can't fit it on Jeremy Cameron. That's fine. I'll just have him in there anyway. Whereas if you go, oh, maybe another player you think is going to have a lower game and go, oh, let's put it on Jeremy Cameron. That, I think, is where you can get pods. So just because, obviously, Tom, you mentioned you'll go for some key forwards, but I think the other point where you can make some grand up is putting salary on a few different players than what you normally would. So 100%. I think that's something where you can definitely make up better ground. But that is how we're looking. Obviously, the 4 Geelong forwards in there as well.
Yes.
And Errol's the one I've thought about putting in, but I guess with the wet weather, I'm probably wanting to go for those other guys that've got the.
He went pretty good last week in the wet, though. I guess that's the thing that scares me, and maybe that's why you're thinking a little bit as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. Right, yeah, had a good game last week. I think, could he do it? But I guess Brisbane's tougher than Essendon. That's probably where I'm looking at it. Brisbane at the Gabba and a little bit wet. That's probably not a great combination.
Yeah.
But you never know. Like Brayshaw's been pretty poor. I think the other 5 is pretty set. Dacos, Dawson, Bont, Rowell, and Dunkley.
You've gone Dunkley as well. Yeah,
probably comes down to Brayshaw or Goulden probably on the bench for me.
Was Dunkley in last night, or is the news and the
Dunkley was
teams? Okay, he was.
Yeah, Dunkley was in there last night. Yeah, I haven't changed any players on the field. It's just been salary cap.
Yeah, interesting. We got the same midfield. Very, very interesting. Well, Bales, thanks for sharing your squad. That all-star looks very tidy sitting there in the middle. Only a couple of rounds left. So for everyone that is still following along, hopefully we've had a discussion about some of the players that you might want to start. Maybe we name some that you're not going to want to put in the squad, but the best of luck to you all. Bailey, you're going to be running off in a second to do it a little bit more. So why don't you tell all the good people that already know you what you do and where they can find you?
Yeah. Well, you call me Bailey, so the only time people call me that is if I've done something wrong and mum says that, or people I don't know. So there you go. You can find me at Bales DT across the socials and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X. I'll be doing a watch along for the Collingwood and Hawthorn game pretty much as soon as I jump off here. So if anyone wants to chat some more fantasy, chat some footy, wants to talk to me about the Crows and how well they're going, I'm all ears. So head over to the watch along over on the Fantasy Fanatics YouTube channel there as well. And I did see someone as well ask about one of my other videos. I think it was a captain's video. Planet Ocean was asking about that there. But that'll be dropping later on tonight or tomorrow. Just wanted to have a look at the teams and stuff. So, but yes, make sure you tune in to the watch along. And thanks for having me on, Tom.
Absolutely, mate. Well, everyone, get those squads set. We have a really exciting couple of weeks here on Game Day Squad. So we've got other sports going on, but stay locked in. Only a couple of rounds left. There's every opportunity to win some more prizes, and we'll catch all you legends next week, maybe on a different day. No Thursday night footy. What's going on there?
Yeah, because the AFLW's on there, so they want to have the standalone one. But the only thing is, they got a standalone game, which is great. I think it's great to give the AFLW the spotlight, but then they're all overlapping again. So it's like bit interesting. But we'll have to see how we go. We're gonna have to juggle both of it, Tom, because we've got multiple squads in both, and we're gonna have to go. Crap, we've got to make sure we stay on top of it all. So looking forward to it though.
I'm going to start preparing now once we get off. So, all righty, everyone.